Tonight, People's Democratic Party takes another step forward in the journey to the 2023 general elections as delegates elect House of Assembly and House of Representatives candidates for the party across the country. Southeast APC presidential aspirants make a bold move, meet to agree on consensus candidates ahead of the party's presidential primary, also push for zoning of the presidency to the southeast. Christian Association of Nigeria takes to the streets in Lagos, Ibadan, Abuja and Kogi, demand justice for the family of slain Deborah Samuel, also preach religious tolerance. Arewa community in Lagos backs decision by the Lagos State government to ban commercial motorcyclists in the metropolis. And Manchester City retain the Premier League title in the most dramatic fashion as they haul themselves back from 2-0 down to beat Aston Villa 3-2 in the final league of match of the season. Candidates for the People's Democratic Party at the level of the House of Assembly and House of Representatives at the National Assembly have emerged across the state. As follows today's primaries conducted by the state electoral committees, all the elected candidates are now to fly the party's flag in the next general elections. Today's exercise is part of the requirements as provided for in the Electoral Act to throw up candidates that will represent the party in the legislative houses in the coming general elections. Also, the People's Democratic Party's constitution provides that those eligible to vote at the primaries at the national convention of the party are 3 ad hoc delegates per ward elected at ward congresses and 1 national delegate per local government area elected at the local government congresses. In many of the states across the country, today's election at the PDP convention was quite competitive as aspirants struggled to get the support of the delegates from Delta State, River State, Abia and Akwa Ibom State. Delegates turned out and voted for their preferred candidates. Let's begin from Delta State, where Honorable Ndudi Elumelu won as the candidate representing Anyocha Oshimili constituency in the House of Representatives.
One Kano Phillips Ejike.
Satisfied by the presence of all aspirants, the umpire begins the process of conducting the primary of the People's Democratic Party PDP into the Delta State House of Assembly elective positions. 35 delegates here in Oshimili South local government area, regardless of any physical impediment, cast their vote. The winner is the only female contestant, and she is beside herself with joy evident by her tears.
He's emotional.
By the power conferred on me, by the PDP, I hereby declare Barrister Bridget Yanfulu elected and returned as the candidate of PDP Oshimili South.
But not everyone shares her sentiment on the outcome of proceedings.
It is not transparent because we didn't have access to the delegates. They were camped and their phones taken away, so I can't call it a transparent election.
Elsewhere in Delta State, another PDP primary, this time on a federal level, is taking place in the Anyocha Oshimili constituency.
79, 80. Right Honorable Elumelu Ndudi Gordon scored 80 votes.
The mention of Ndudi Elumelu's name evokes cheers from his supporters, and the victory celebration begins.
I feel very happy, but I thank the Almighty God. Only Him has done this. I thank my mother. She's a wonderful mother. I thank my brothers, Peter, Tony, all of them. But most importantly, I thank my governor, the Ekweme of the universe.
Elsewhere in River State, the primary by the PDP to elect candidates for the 32 constituency seats of the State House of Assembly is on. Just as with the Delta primary, emotions on the exercise is split, with the aggrieved calling for a presidential review of an act in the Constitution.
Because they had ulterior motives, the table has not turned against them. I am going to face it. as a local government chairman, I'm one of the statutory delegates. My party chairman is one of the statutory delegates. It's unfortunate, but the electoral act as we see today is what we'll stand with.
As a legislator, I am supposed to vote and to be voted for. But in this case, I wish the president will assent to this law so that we can also participate.
Moving to Akwa Ibom, the primaries for the election of the party's flag bearers in the State House of Assembly and House of Reps is on. Announcements of the results soon commences, followed by reactions.
We are very cultured people, well-mannered people, so we know exactly what to do. And of course, you know the delegates, the number is a manageable one, so you don't expect crashes at all.
When I was contesting, I was like the least. But there's a story of David in the Bible, that the little David defeated Goliath.
Emotions will certainly vary with winners and losers. That, after all, is what politics is largely about.
And for the chairman of the Edo State House of Assembly primaries of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Agiteyiniro Isaac, the exercise has been a fair one. And his views are corroborated by the chairman of the state PDP, Mr. Anthony Azigbemi, who asked that the five-man panel conducting the elections have been mandated to ensure the conduct of a credible exercise using the party's guidelines.
The supervisors of the PDP primaries for Edo State House of Assembly and the Federal House of Representatives in Edo State begin their assignment at the state party secretariat. The representatives of the national body said their visit is to assure members of the party in Edo State of their commitment towards a credible election.
We are appealing to all members, the delegates, to ensure that they are all present to make our job very easy. And we hope that at the end of the day, everybody will be happy with the outcome of the primaries.
These primaries that we are here to conduct will not only be peaceful, will not only be free, will not only be transparent, but will be credible.
The first venue is the party's secretariat in Oedo local government area.
Only delegates will follow us upstairs. We will do accreditation and take the delegates upstairs.
The delegates representing all the wards in the council line up as they are called out to cast their ballots.
Fred Okada. Yes. Okay, you can go inside.
3.
Voting is also set in Igor local government area.
No toucher 2, no toucher 3, no toucher. Ladies and gentlemen.
Natasha Irobusa-Osawa is declared winner in the State Assembly primaries after scoring 25 out of 31 votes.
Having met the constitutional requirement for this House of Assembly election primaries, I hereby declare Mrs. Natasha Osawaru as the winner of this House of Assembly primary election.
Elsewhere, results will be coming in from other local government areas. 24 state constituencies seats, 9 Federal House of Representatives seats are being contested.
Staying with politics, this time with the All Progressives Congress, the Appeals Committee for the Ad Hoc Delegate Congresses of the ruling party in Kaduna State has upheld the congresses, describing the exercise as successful. The party last week conducted congresses to elect local government, state and national delegates under consensus arrangement. At a news conference today in Kaduna, head of the 5-man committee, Mrs. Tinuke Ogunride, said the congresses have been hitch-free.
This appeal committee received records from Congress committee appointed by our great party, confirming the various categories of delegates emerged from the special Congress in the 23 local government areas as follows: 1,275 local government delegates, 1,275 state delegates, and 69 national delegates were unanimously elected during the special Congress by the consensus. At this conclusion of our assignment, this committee did not receive any petition before, during, or after the special Congress of Katsina State APC.
Meanwhile, presidential aspirants from the southeast in the ruling All Progressives Congress have agreed to work together if the party picks any of them to fly its flag in the 2023 general elections. Attending the meeting were Emeka Nwajuba, Ogbonnaya Onu, Senator Ken Namani, Mrs. Uju Ken Ohanenye, and Senator Rochester Okrocha. Ebonyi Governor Dave Umahi was absent from the meeting, but he explains that he had other urgent matters to attend to. On zoning, the aspirants say they hope their party will do the right thing by zoning it to the south.
The aspirants agree to make the following statements: that the All Progressive Congress and its National Working Committee, as well as the teaming members of the party, are commended by the entire people of the Southeast on their avowed commitment to the unity of Nigeria and the inclusion of all parts of Nigeria in the general architecture of the unity of the nation. 2, that we commend all Nigerians who are committed to the Nigerian project by the wholehearted support of the aspiration of the Southeast to produce the next Nigerian president in 2023. 3, that in furtherance of these commitments, all aspirants herein commit to align with any one of our Southeast aspirants that is accepted and chosen by other Nigerians to fly the flag of APC.
The ruling All Progressives Congress has postponed the screening of all the presidential aspirants scheduled to take place on Monday, May 23rd, indefinitely. The National Publicity Secretary of the party, Mr. Felix Moka, in a statement issued today, said a new date for the screening exercise would be announced by the party. According to him, the screening exercise for presidential aspirants of the All Progressives Congress, earlier scheduled for Monday, May 23rd, 2022, is hereby postponed. A new date for the exercise will be announced shortly. Any inconvenience caused is deeply regretted. In part 2 after the break, presidential aspirants on the platform of the APC and the PDP crisscross the country, moving delegates ahead of their various presidential primaries. That's in a moment. Do join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. People's Democratic Party takes another step forward in the journey to the 2023 general elections as delegates elect House of Assembly and House of Representatives candidates for the party across the country. Southeast APC presidential aspirants make a bold move, need to agree on consensus candidates ahead of the party's presidential primary. Christian Association of Nigeria takes to the streets in Lagos, Ibadan, Abuja, and in Kogi State, demanding justice for the family of slain Deborah Samuel, also preach religious tolerance. Continuation of the consultation of Iowa community in Lagos backs decision by the Lagos State government to ban commercial motorcyclists in the metropolis. And Manchester City retains the Premier League title in the most dramatic fashion as they haul themselves back from 2-0 down to beat Aston Villa 3-2 in the final league match of the season for the English Premier League. In continuation of his consultation of the party delegates, former governor of Lagos State, Senator Bola Tinubu, was in Kano State, where he was welcomed by all the All Progressives Congress delegates. He told them that as president, he will implement changes that will turn around the country for the better.
Political activities have continued to heighten as party primaries for presidential aspirants are billed to close by the 3rd of June 2022. This time frame has set the ball rolling as presidential aspirants continue to woo delegates for votes ahead of the party primaries. Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, one of the presidential aspirants of the All Progressives Congress, was in Kano State amidst a lot of cheering by Kano delegates and was received by the Kano State Governor Umar Ganduje. Governor Ganduje leads the aspirant to commission the just-completed multi-million mega bridge along Ring Road in Kano and a recently constructed tunnel at the Murtala Mohammed Specialist Hospital in Kano. The two-time governor of Lagos State believes he will emerge victorious with the votes of Kano delegates.
Who will decide our fate? No matter how long is my Turenchi tonight, if you say no, it's no. But I'm glad I have received the endorsement in my pocket. So even if I make mistake, you will forgive me. Inshallah. We will be there together.
With the primaries of the All Progressives Congress just around the corner, aspirants are racing against time as the fate of the presidential hopefuls of the party rests solely on the shoulders of these delegates.
Now, another presidential candidate on the platform of the PDP, Dr. Hayatuddin Mohammed, has expressed his concerns over the heightened insecurity in the country. He says the priority of any government should be to protect lives and property. He was speaking today in Lagos after his meeting with delegates of the People's Democratic Party.
Humane and so evil. I have never, from the time I was a child to date, seen the nation being bathed in this vast ocean of blood. This kind of bloodletting is so inhumane and so evil that you and I may feel protected, but there are tens of millions of other citizens who are completely exposed. Already, life is very cruel to them. They are the same people that you see on your television screens, either in the southeast or the south-south or the northern part of the country or the southwest, being raped and plundered and killed. Schools have been closed down, children cannot go to school. Mothers cannot go to hospital to deliver. Farmlands have been taken over by bandits, and people have become slaves on their own farms. Taxes are being levied on them, not by government, but by hoodlums. What kind of country is this, for God's sake?
And as campaigns enter their final week for presidential aspirants of the two major parties, the contenders for the top job are making last-minute push to ensure they get delegates' votes. Our next report follows the campaign trail of Governor Kayode Fayemi, Mr. Rotimi Amaechi of the APC, and Aminu Tambuwal of the PDP on their visits to different states.
It's the final week of campaigns, and presidential aspirants of different political parties are leaving nothing to chance in their quest to clinch their party's tickets. One of the contenders for the All Progressives Congress presidential ticket and governor of Ekiti State, Kayode Fayemi, on his visit to Benue State Governor Samuel Otom before heading to meet his party's delegates, identified extreme inequality and poverty as factors promoting insecurity, which it promises to tackle if elected.
In a more sustained, longer term, we need to address the triggers of insecurity. And what are those triggers? there is extreme inequality in our society. There is poverty in our society. There is youth frustration in our society.
The Ekiti State governor is not the only APC presidential aspirant to visit Benue. Former Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amechi is also here to make a case for his candidature to delegates. He reels out qualities that makes him stand out.
If you make me president, we'll get the local government to take their money directly from the federation account, so that governors will stop tampering with the local government. One of the reasons why crime is also on the rise is that money, even though they were not using it for development, that money that chairmen used to share with people in the rural areas, the money is no longer there.
From Benue, Mr. Amechi heads to Niger State in continuation of his consultation with party delegates. He tells these party men that he will be a listening leader if elected.
I'm a politician, they are not. I can walk into you, I can talk to you. If I don't talk to you, I don't feel happy. If I don't listen to you, I don't feel happy.
And for the People's Democratic Party presidential aspirant and governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwal, his latest port of call to seek delegate support is Anambra State. Governor Tambuwal says he's aware of the region's agitations, which has fueled insecurity, while promising to be a leader that will ensure everyone has a seat on the table if elected. He also takes a jab at APC-led government in terms of equity.
Insecurity is everywhere in this country. It's the failure of the system, of security system that we have in this country. And for Southeast, of course, it is clearly linked to the unfair treatment being meted Southeast by the APC administration.
As the primary inches closer, these aspirants are ensuring they dot all the I's and cross all T's to improve their chances at their party's polls.
Nigeria must adopt technological methods to tackle its various security challenges, as the current analog ways are not matching up the views of a presidential aspirant of the All Progressives Congress and Governor of Cross River State, Professor Ben Ayadi. He told Channels Television's Ladi Akedulale on our current affairs program Newsnight, using his state as a case study in spite of the multiple challenges of security it faced. He says he has, with the support of security forces, made it one of the most peaceful states in the Federation.
All the discussion about education and what have you means nothing when you don't address the issue of security. And I'm so happy that you know that if you go to the police report, statistics have it that Cross River is the safest state in this country today in terms of crime rate. Let me tell you, Cross River State has an international maritime boundary south of the state. By the southeastern flank of the state, we have a massive land corridor relationship with the Cameroons. And within the southern part of Cameroon, you have the armed conflict between Cameroon and the Ambazonians. And that armed conflict have led to the proliferation of light weapons, small arms, proliferating the whole of Calabar and indeed within our maritime zones. Then on the inland sections of Cross River State has a boundary dispute which leads to occasional skirmishes between Cross River and Akwa Ibom. The same happens between Cross River and Abia. The same happens between Cross River and Ebonyi State. Same happens between Cross River and Benue State. So a small, peaceful, wonderful, nice persons just dropped at the center of a challenged atmosphere and are administering that small state. More so that at the onset of President Buhari's administration, there was this deliberate attack on the oil pipelines. Operation Delta Save was set up to check the vandalization of the oil pipelines. And because there are no oil pipelines in Cross River, there was a cache of military armament and personnel deployed in the whole of Niger Delta except Cross River. So Cross River State became the safe haven for all the terrorist groups, the bandits, and all the sea pirates, to also know that Cross River State is the closest land border to the Gulf of Guinea, where the piracy is at its peak. So you can look at the amount of criminality that I'm dealing with, yet the most peaceful. Because I decided to innovate and design a digital approach to security instead of the manual and analog approach.
You can watch the full interview with Professor Ayadi on Newsnight. It airs tomorrow, Monday, May 23rd at 9 p.m. right here on Channels Television. Senate President and presidential aspirant in the All Progressives Congress, Dr. Ahmed Lawan, has refuted reports about him withdrawing from the presidential race to pursue another term in the Senate. Part of a statement by his spokesperson said the Ahmed Lawan Presidential Campaign Organization reads Nigerians should ignore the sponsored lies by some aspirants to distract the Senate president from his quest to succeed President Muhammadu Buhari in the next presidential election. Still ahead on the news at 10, World Economic Forum opens in Davos, Switzerland. Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, attends virtually. We'll have that in a moment. Please join us again. Welcome back. The governorship aspirant of the Labour Party in Osun State and former Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Lasun Yusuf, is alleging his life is under threat. Yusuf made the allegation at a press conference in Osogbo, the Osun State capital, following an alleged attack on his campaign office. He says since securing the ticket of the Labour Party to contest the July 16, 2022 election in Osun State, he has noticed some unusual behavior around him.
At exactly 11 p.m. yesterday, some political talks, numbering about 8, stormed my campaign office at Oroki Estate, barely 30 minutes after we all left for the day. They came with cutlasses, guns, and other weapons and descended on my billboards, signposts, and windows of the gatehouse, destroying everything in sight. The night guard, in panic, came out to challenge them with all his might. He was, however, able to battle them, causing them to run away. But this happened after they had destroyed everything outside the campaign office, while the night guard's resistance prevented them from gaining entrance to the campaign office.
From politics to the call for religious tolerance, a former chaplain of the Aso Villa Chapel and General Overseer of the All Christians Fellowship Mission, Rev William Mukui, is calling for the immediate prosecution of persons responsible for the killing of Deborah Samuel, a student of Shehu Shagari College of Education in Sokoto State. Speaking in Abuja shortly after leading a peaceful protest within the premises of the church, Rev Mukui appealed to Christians to remain steadfast in the face of all forms of provocation. He calls on Nigerians to stop taking laws into their hands in order not to aggravate the security challenges bedeviling the nation.
This is a peaceful procession by members of the All Christians Fellowship Mission in Abuja, in compliance with the directive of the Christian Association of Nigeria. The procession begins with a song. The General Overseer of the church speaks on the essence of the procession and why it is taking place within the church premises.
We are directed by CAN, Christian Association of Nigeria, that all churches should protest today in solidarity with our sister Deborah that was murdered in cold blood in Sokoto State, and demand that there must be justice. All the characters that killed that lady, that young girl, must be fished out and prosecuted.
He leaves a word of encouragement for Christians in the North as he urges them to remain steadfast.
Christians in the North, just like any other place, we have to stand firm for Christ against all odds. The church, the early church went through all manner of persecutions. If they had given in, the church would not be here today. But they put their feet on the ground and said no to the lies of the devil. And that's why the gates of hell are not prevailed against the church.
At the central parish of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, the regional pastor of the church leads a prayer session for the nation.
It's our sin. These are various sins that we have done that have brought all right in Nigeria.
With the prayers over, the regional pastor leads a procession with members maintaining seed leaves while carrying placards with different inscriptions. Worshippers at the Redeemed Christian Church of God, City of Grace Mega Parish in Lokoja, the Kogi State capital, also joined the peaceful protest over the murder of Deborah Samuel. Like their Abuja counterparts, they maintained sealed lips while displaying placards with different inscriptions. Deborah Samuel, a 200-level economics student of Shehu Shagari College of Education in Sokoto, was stoned to death on the 13th of May 2022 by persons suspected to be her fellow students for alleged blasphemy against Prophet Muhammad.
There were other protests holding by Christians in Lagos, Ibadan, and in Osun State. The demand, similar to that of Christians in Abuja, and the CAN president also seeking justice, calling for respect for all religions and demanding justice for Deborah Samuel. Our correspondent, Olu Phillips, reports.
All God's children just stand. In their own corner, on their grounds, and within the parameters of their community, a coalition of civil society organizations convened by the Catalysts for Peace and Justice in conjunction with Christian Association of Nigeria stepped out in this rally tagged Speak as One Voice, essentially to seek justice for Deborah Samuels, the 200-level student who was murdered. Hey, stop the killing.
Some familiar faces joined the group, chanting and proclaiming, holding banners and placards bearing relevant inscriptions for the moment. Even children were in the mix. They can't carry placard, but they can observe what may resonate in history as a light bulb moment for a renaissance. Deborah's death is the anchor for this rally, but in no means just about her alone. It's over and above and beyond to accentuate the need to have pervading peace in the polity.
By coming out today, we are insisting that those who are in captivity must be released. Yes. And that the government must up their game in a way that does not denigrate us any further.
Make no mistakes, they say, this isn't a Christian-centric protest.
This is not a church matter. This is Catalyst for Peace and Justice in collaboration with Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, WATC, Charlie Boy Foundation, Muslim Initiative for Peace. So there is nothing religious because the people killing us are not discriminating.
What is at stake is our shared humanity and our common citizenship. And so we are here to demonstrate, and most importantly so, that as Muslims we do not support, condone the killing of Deborah Yakubu, and in fact we stand in condemnation of the killing as it does not in any way reflect the true tenets of the Islamic faith.
Making a surprise appearance, Mr. Charlie Boy has these words to share.
The youth of this country, unless una get a place where una say una one wrong go secure una self. Unless una mumuna, then sew jacket for your mumuna follow come. Factory fitted. Now be say all these things going to happen, you know, go think what you go do.
Reminiscence of the call by the Christian Association of Nigeria, Christian faithful across the country showed support to the various calls at the federal government and state government to be proactive in ensuring the safety of lives and property. In Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, the CAN president led a unit of Christians saying no to all forms of killings.
No religious group henceforth should be able to be allowed to take laws into their hands any longer, and that there must be justice for the people whose lives are being unduly terminated.
The same is re-echoed in Jalingo, the Taraba state capital. The message is the same. Justice should be served in the case of Deborah's death. Oshun's rally is led by the state CAN chairman. They can't get over the pains of wanton killings in the country. Resounding across the voices raised in rallies heard across the country and anchored on the recent death of the 200-level student Deborah is the call for justice, equity and fairness in all aspects of life, and the call on the Citizens Army to participate more actively in electoral processes ahead of the 2023 elections. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
The World Economic Forum opens today in Davos, Switzerland. There will be a major physical WEF meeting since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war. Nigeria's Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, will be participating in this year's annual event, which brings together 2,000 leaders and experts from around the world. The World Economic Forum is an independent international organization committed to improving businesses and improving the state of the world economy. For 2 days, the President, Muhammadu Buhari, has been in the United Arab Emirates commiserating with the President and citizens over the death of the former leader. President Buhari also used the visit to firm up some grey area in the Nigeria-UAE bilateral relations. Our State House correspondent, Gloria Omezoke, reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari arrived the presidential wing of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport after an official visit to the United Arab Emirates in the last 2 days to condole with the new ruler of the UAE, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. The visit, which was also to congratulate him on his election, afforded the two leaders an opportunity to resume bilateral talks. In the 7 years of President Buhari's administration, the two countries have actively conducted bilateral dialogues, leading to several agreements and memorandum of understanding that has engendered further cooperation, mutual understanding and progress in various areas, including security.
The significance of this visit is simply a reflection, a measure of the relationship that exists between Nigeria and the United Arab Emirates. The spirit, of course, is to share with your friends and people countries that you consider friendly in their moments of joy and their moments of sadness. And having lost the leader of the country, it's only normal that to further solidify the relations between our two countries, we show concern.
Following the several MOUs signed between both countries, the Nigerian ambassador to the UAE believes this will help address salient issues, including that of work permit for Nigerians living in the UAE.
This gesture certainly tells us, the body language tells us that certainly they are ready to do business with Nigeria.
And to sort out the issue of work permit?
Certainly, it's going to be one of the key issues that will come under consideration under the Joint Commission.
The President concludes his 2-day visit leaving high expectations that Nigeria's relationship with the Arab nation would strengthen counter-terrorism cooperation, facilitate trade and investment, and promote prosperity and development. From Abu Dhabi, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
The federal government has appointed Anamekwe Umaboku as acting accountant general of the Federation. The appointment is conveyed in a letter dated May 20, 2022 and signed by Aliu Ahmed, Permanent Secretary, Federal Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning. Mr. Umaboku is expected to carry out his duties in strict compliance with extant rules and observe the highest sense of professionalism. His appointment follows the suspension of his predecessor, Ahmed Idris, who is being investigated for allegedly stealing 80 billion naira. After an extraordinary meeting, the Lagos State Arewa Community General Assembly is throwing its weight behind the Lagos State government ban on commercial motorcycles, popularly called Okada. A group condemns in its entirety the activities of what it calls all criminal elements, who are mostly foreigners from Niger Republic, Chad, Cameroon, and other neighboring countries. It says the foreigners have infiltrated the ranks of those genuine commercial motorcycle riders and thereby perpetrating all forms of crime in Lagos State and are continuing serious threats to the lives and property in the metropolis. The group also calls on the security agencies to identify and arrest the criminal elements masquerading as Okada riders. They also want the Nigeria Immigration Service to step up action along the borders to check the influx of the foreigners. And now to the art. Legacy is an art exhibition. Some members of the Universal Art Studio at the My Dream Gallery in Lagos have been exhibiting. The group, based within the National Theatre premises in Lagos, has been training visual art students and professionals for many years. Now we see what they've brought to this exhibition space.
The idea to host an exhibition by members of the Universal Studio of Arts has been in the pipeline for a while now, but it was stalled no thanks to the pandemic. So everyone here is excited that Legacy, which reveals the works done by these artists, has finally been unveiled at the My Dream Gallery.
It's a show that we had planned for some time to put together, but the COVID has really been obstructive. Eventually, we were able to put this together, calling it a salon show that is self-exhibition and in collaboration with the My Dream Gallery.
Although the studio is open to different artists, both trainees and professionals, there was no segregation in planning for this exhibition. Everyone that made the cut has been properly screened before they were allowed to be part of this event, which is to showcase the best.
The artist's work is an extension of his personality. So that is important to us also, that we mold people who are going to be very laudable and able representatives and ambassadors of the artists.
The audience give their impression about this collection, but want more attention given to placement and arrangement of the pieces.
The studio prides itself with membership who are there right at the top of the enkeron of the art system in Nigeria. So we have top-notch artists, and the works, they speak for themselves.
I've moved around. You cannot, from the sculptural pieces, from the paintings, from the mixed media work, you can't dismiss this collection, this exhibition. But I would say, the organizers should watch out. So some of the time that you don't pack too many works too close to each other, so that you give us a sense of space. One can stand back and appreciate, a particular work.
The Universal Studios of Art, which is located just beside the National Gallery of Art building within the National Theatre in Igomu, Lagos, has been grooming budding creatives for many years now. This has significantly contributed to the development of arts in the country.
Beyond our shores now, Poland's President Andrzej Duda has become the first foreign leader to address the Ukrainian parliament since the Russian invasion of Ukraine on February 24. He received a standing ovation when he declared that only Ukrainians themselves could decide their future, and that Poland would do everything it can to help Ukraine join the European Union. France's Europe Minister Clément Beaune, however, said it would probably take 15 to 20 years for that to happen. Meanwhile, as fighting continues in Ukraine, the UK's Ministry of Defence says Russia is believed to have deployed its BMP-T tank units to parts of the Donbass region. The tank, unofficially nicknamed Terminator by its manufacturers, is heavily armed and armoured so that it can survive in urban combat. Israel, Switzerland and Austria have become the latest countries to confirm cases of monkeypox, making 15 countries have also confirmed outbreaks. There have been more than 80 confirmed cases in the recent outbreak in Europe, the US, Canada and in Australia. As for Israel and Switzerland, they identified one infected person who had recently traveled. Israel says it is investigating other suspected cases. The outbreak of monkeypox in recent weeks has taken scientists by surprise, even though it does not tend to spread easily between people and the risk to the wider public is said to be low. Although there is no specific vaccine for monkeypox, several countries have said they are stocking up on smallpox vaccine, which are about 85% effective in preventing infection because the two viruses are quite similar. Manchester City have retained the Premier League title in the most dramatic of fashion as they haul themselves back from 2-0 down to beat Aston Villa 3-2 with 3 goals in the final 15 minutes earlier today. Ilkay Gundogan came off the bench to score twice, with Rodri also on target as Pep Guardiola's men held off Liverpool's title charge to win the league by a point. The Reds defeated Wolves 3-1 at Anfield. Arsenal and Tottenham won their respective game in the final day fixtures to finish in 4th and 5th. Burnley were relegated from the Premier League, the final day losing 1-2 to Newcastle. Crystal Palace beat Manchester United by a lone goal. AC Milan has won their first Serie A title in 11 years earlier today after beating Sassuolo 3-0 to snatch the crown from local rivals Inter Milan. Needing just a point to claim the Scudetto, Milan swept their hosts aside thanks to an Olivier Giroud brace and another from Frank Kessie in the first half in front of an army of away fans at the Mapei Stadium. Stefano Pioli's Milan finished 2 points ahead of Inter, who beat Sampdoria 3-0 in the San Siro. And back home, Bielsa Queens this evening clinched the NWFL Premiership title following a 2-1 win against Nasarawa Amazons at the Samuel Obemudia Stadium in Benin City. The Bielsa State-based team won all 5 games in the Super 6 playoff to win the 2021-2022 abridged season and will represent Nigeria in next season's CAF Women's Champions League. The team's forward, Monday Gift, won the Golden Boot Award, scoring 12 goals in 12 matches. 9th seed Felix Auger-Aliassime fought back from 2 sets down to beat Peru's Juan Pablo Varillas in the first round of the French Open earlier today. The Canadian was on the ropes against his battle-hardened opponent who had come through qualifying at Roland Garros. But after a sluggish opening, he came back to life as the match went on, eventually prevailing 2-6, 2-6, 6-1, 6-3, 6-3 to move into the second round. And the main news again, the People's Democratic Party today elected flag bearers for the House of Assembly election and the Federal House of Representatives across the country. Also today, the All Progressives Congress announced the postponement of the screening of all its presidential aspirants, which had been scheduled to take place tomorrow. And the Arawa community in Lagos has declared support for the Lagos State government on its ban on commercial motorcyclists in the metropolis. That's news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night.